All right. Thank you to at least a couple people who commented on my post about the two biggest mistakes that new investors make, in my opinion. And so I'm going to try to be succinct and I'll just list them off. Biggest mistake number one is once they have a property and they're getting ready to rent it, they just Google for lease in Idaho and they use some lease they found online or something that their sister's uncle's cousin gave them. They don't understand the lease. The lease is not valid in their state. It doesn't protect them in the way that the laws allow, and it becomes a problem. You need to go see a real estate attorney, sit down with them for an hour, and they will let you use the lease that they wrote and that they'll be ready to defend in court if you need to. And you don't have to worry about it. It'll be an excellent investment. It costs you a couple $100. You'll be a much better prepared landlord and you'll understand your rights and your tenants' rights. Number two, shout out to Robert. He mentioned self-managing. And while I don't think it's impossible to be a successful self-manager, I think it's very rare. So in my opinion, I don't think it's necessarily a mistake to self-manage, but to be specific, most self-managers do not manage professionally. And what I mean by that is they don't abide by their own lease, because oftentimes it's a personal relationship, not a professional relationship. Their tenants, they know them, they know their family, and the tenants end up paying rent late or doing damage to the property or making unauthorized changes, and then they go to bigger pockets or the Boise Reen and they post something along the lines of, my tenant did this or my tenant is not doing that, what do I do? What they're really saying is, I don't want to have to enforce my lease. Is there an easier way to do this? And there's not. If you want your tenants to obey your lease, you need to obey the lease. If your lease says rent is due on the 1st and you get a late fee on the 5th, you serve them with a late fee and a 3-day notice to cure on the 5th. If you don't do that, then your tenants are not going to take you seriously. That doesn't mean you can't be kind or patient or make exceptions if and when you feel like you need to, but you need to understand your lease and enforce your lease. If you're not following the lease, your tenants will not enforce the lease or follow the lease. And so those are my two. Meet with an attorney and use their lease. You'll have a relationship with them. And number two, manage your property professionally. If you can do that yourself, awesome. If you think you'll struggle with being too kind or too flexible, hire a property manager. If you want referrals or have questions about either one of those things, you can always reach out to us or DM me, boiseturnkey.com, and we give advice for free. And we don't even give you sales pitches. So if you want to use our lease, send me a DM. If you want property management advice, send me a DM and we'll just hand it over. No strings attached.